Hello students, welcome to the next session of our Python series. We were discussing iteration and looping constructs in Python. In this video, we are going to discuss break, continue, and else in Python. In the previous video, we discussed while loop and for loop. While loop iterate over a block of code until the test expression is false, and for loop will execute until the last item in a sequence is reached. So while loop will execute until the test expression is false, and for loop will terminate when the last item in the sequence is. In certain situations, when some particular condition occurs, a user may want to exit from the loop, or the user need to skip a certain part of the code. For example, this is a program to calculate percentage of 4 students using while loop. Here C is initialized to 1 and the condition is C less than or equal to 4. And there is a loop body here. In this loop body, the total mark out of 500 is accepted from the user and the percentage is calculated and displayed. The loop control variable C is updated with 1 and the while loop continues until the value of C becomes 4. I will run and show you the output. Enter the mark of first student. I am entering it as 455. The percentage is calculated as 91. Mark of second student 345. It is displayed. What happens if I enter a mark greater than 500? For example, I am inputting the mark as 600. The percentage displayed will be 120. This is not a correct percentage of a student. And next time I am entering a mark as 460. The percentage is displayed and the program is terminated. Here in the program, no validation is performed. That is, if the user enters a mark less than 0 or greater than 500, the percentage is calculated. I want to skip the percentage calculation, that is this code, if the user enters total greater than 500. So here I am entering a condition, if total greater than 500, I have to display an error message, print enter valid mark less than 500, and after that I have to skip the rest of the code. For that I am using the break statement. So when the condition is true, that is if the user enters a mark greater than 500, this error message will be displayed, enter valid mark less than 500 will be displayed, and the break statement will be executed and the whole loop will be terminated, and after that the thank you message will be displayed. Break statement causes the termination of the whole loop before the condition becomes false. Normally, the loop should be executed 4 times from 1 to 4. But when a user enters a mark greater than 500, the loop will be terminated. I will run the program and show you the output. For the first student, I am entering 450. The percentage is calculated. For the second student, I am entering a mark greater than 500. The message enter valid mark less than 500 will be displayed, and after that the last statement, thank you for using this program, which is outside the loop body. This thank you message is outside the loop body, that will be executed. So break statement terminates the current loop and execute the statement after the loop body. So now the loop executed only 2 times. The loop terminated before the loop is matured. What can we do if the user needs to calculate the percentage of all 4 students? There is another jump statement called continue. Instead of break, I am using the continue statement here. Continue statement is also a jump statement which is used to alter the normal execution of a loop. When a continue statement is encountered, the rest of the loop body, these 4 statements will be skipped and causes the next iteration of the loop. I will run the program and show this output. Enter mark of first student. I am entering the mark as 450. 90% is displayed, and next time I am entering 340. The percentage is displayed as 68, and for the third student I am entering the mark as 560, which is greater than 500. So here an error message enter valid mark will be displayed, and it is prompted to enter the mark of student 3 once more. Then I can enter the mark of next student, which was 460, and it will show the percentage as 92, and next time I am entering the mark as 410 and the output will be 82 and thank you message is displayed. While I executed this time, I entered an invalid mark during the third iteration and this condition became true. Total greater than 500 became true and continue statement is encountered. The calculation of percentage and C plus 1, the updation of the loop control variable is skipped and the star 50 times star is not displayed. And once more the loop is iterated, so student 3 is displayed and it is prompted to enter the mark of the third student. So break statement causes the termination of a loop and continue statement causes the next iteration of the loop. Break and continue statement. Break and continue statement can alter the normal flow of a loop. They are called jump statements and allow the programmer to control the logic of the program. It can be used in both while or for loop. Break statement is used to terminate a loop and continue statement is used to skip some statements of the loop. Let us look each of that statements in detail. Break statement can be used to unconditionally jump out of the loop. That is, it is used to exit from a loop or terminate the loop. Control of the program flows to the statement immediately after the body of the loop. So if there are any statements after the body of the loop, that statement will be executed after skipping the loop. It is mostly required when because of some external condition we need to exit from a loop. Here I have given an example. For letter in Python, the sequence given is a string. On each iteration, the letter will contain each characters from the string Python. And the condition given is if letter equal to h. That is, on fourth iteration, pyth. On the fourth iteration, this condition will be true and the break statement will be executed. The three letters P, Y and T will be displayed and after that when H is encountered, break statement will be executed and the whole loop body will be skipped. Next one is continue statement. This statement is used to tell Python to skip the rest of the statements of the current loop block and move to the next iteration of the loop. It will return back the control to the beginning of the loop. Same example with the continue statement is given for letter in Python. If letter equal to h, continue. P, Y and T is displayed. After that, when the character h is encountered, this condition will become true and continue will be executed and this statement will not be executed and the program control goes to the next character. So the letter will contain the next character O. So O is displayed as the next output and N is also displayed. One more example using break and continue statement. Both loops are used to print multiplication table of a number. The number is accepted from the user and the loop is used to display the table of the accepted number. By default, the table up to 10 is to be displayed. But here a jump statement break is used. The condition is C equal to 5. That is, when the value of C becomes 5, the loop is terminated here. So the output of this loop will be enter a number. The user entered 5. 5 into 1 is displayed, into 2, 3, up to 4 is displayed. And after that, when the value of C reaches 5, the loop is terminated because of this break statement. The same code using the continue statement, the number is accepted from the user for say in range 1 to 11. By normal, the table up to 10 is to be displayed. So first 5 into 1 is displayed, into 2, 3, 4 and when 5 is encountered, that is when the value of C becomes 5, continue statement is executed. So this print statement will not be executed and C will get the next value 6 and 5 into 6, 30 will be displayed, followed by 7, 8, 9 and 10. Difference between break and continue statement. Break statement terminates the execution of remaining iteration of the loop. It causes early termination of the loop. That is, maybe the loop should execute 5 times, but when a condition is encountered, the loop will be terminated. Break statement stops the continuation of the loop. And in continue statement terminates only the current iteration of the loop. The rest of the iteration will be executed. It causes the termination of current iteration only. It causes early execution of the next iteration. Why is it said early execution? Because it skips a certain number of lines and causes the next iteration. It only stops the current iteration. Only the current iteration is skipped. Rest of the loop will be executed as normal. The next one is else in a loop. Else can be used in for and while loops. We have seen the usage of else in a if statement. This else part will be executed in an if when the condition becomes false. In a for loop, the else body will be executed when the items in the sequence are exhausted. And in a while loop, this else part will be executed when the expression evaluates to false. Here a while loop is given. The initial value is 6 and the condition is I greater than or equal to 6. Print I. So first 6 will be printed and after that -1, 5 will be printed and then -1, 4 will be printed and -1. When the value of I becomes 3, 3 greater than or equal to 4 is false, and when the condition becomes false, this else part will be executed and the output finally else executed will be printed. What happens if a break statement is encountered in a while loop? If break is encountered before the condition is false, this else part is ignored. For example, the initial value is I, the loop is to be executed up to 10. Here when the value of I reaches 5, the break statement is encountered and the loop is terminated. So the loop is terminated before the condition becomes false. So this else part will not be executed. The else part will be executed only when the condition is evaluated to false. Here the loop is terminated before the condition is false. So else part is ignored. The output of the program will be 1, 2, 3 and 4. This finally else will not be executed. Else in a for loop. In a for loop, if break is encountered before the items in the sequence is exhausted, the else part is ignored. For example, this is a program to check whether your name contains T. Here it is prompted to enter your name, and using this for loop, each characters in your name is checked. That is, on each iteration, this CH contains the characters of your name, and one condition is given. If CH equal to T, that is if your name contains T, an output will be printed found T and the loop is break. So if T is encountered, there is no need to check rest of the characters in your name. The output found T is displayed and the loop is breaked. What happens if your name does not contain a character T? That is, the character T is not found and the items in the sequence is exhausted. In such a situation, the else part will be executed and the output T is not found will be printed. Sample outputs are given. Enter your name. First name was Emmanuel. When iterating each character from this name, T is not found. The sequence is exhausted, but the break statement is not executed since T is not found in the sequence. In such a situation, the output will be T is not found. One more example. Swati is entered. On iterating the characters, T is found here. So this condition will become true. Found T will be displayed and the loop will be terminated. There is one more topic called nested loop. Nested loop means a loop may contain another loop inside it. A while loop can contain another for loop in it, or a while loop can contain another while loop, or two for loops nested together. A loop comes inside another loop. There will be an outer loop and an inner loop. In this example, the initial value of the outer loop control variable is 6. Let me erase all the inks on the slide. Here the initial value of the outer loop control variable I is 6 and the outer condition is I greater than or equal to 0. So the outer loop will execute from 6 to 0 and inner loop the control variable is j and this loop will execute from 1 to I, that is the outer loop control variable. So when the value of I is 6, the inner loop will execute from 1 to 5 since range function will generate up to numbers I minus 1. The value of I is 6. So the sequence generated will be from 1 to 5 and the numbers 1 to 5 will be displayed in the same line with a space. After that, a blank print statement is here. So it will print a blank line and I is decremented with 1 and I will get the value 5. When the value of I is 5, the inner loop will be executed from 1 to I. That is from 1 to 4 will be generated and that value is displayed. After that, a new line is printed. I minus 1 will make the value of I as 4. When I is 4, the inner loop will be executed from 1 to 3. That is printed. And then I is decremented to 3 and values generated will be 1 and 2. That is printed. After that, I is decremented to 2. When I is 2, the inner loop is 1 to 2. So only 1 will be generated. That is also printed. A blank line is displayed. I minus 1 makes the value of I as 1. 1 greater than 0 is true. When the value of I is 1, the inner loop is from 1 to 1. 1 to 1 will generate an empty sequence. So the inner loop will not be executed. So no output will be printed in this iteration. And I minus 1 causes the value of I as 0. I greater than or equal to 0 is true. 1 to 0 will also generate an empty sequence. So the inner loop will not execute this time also. When value of I becomes minus 1 greater than or equal to 0 is false and the outer loop is also exited. So the output of this program will be this pattern. This nested loop are generally used to print this type of patterns. The outer loop will be executed only after the completion of the inner loop. The inner loop will complete one iteration. After that, the outer loop condition is checked. If the outer loop condition is true, the inner loop is executed again once more and the loop continues until the outer loop condition becomes false. Let us look the summary of looping statements. First, we learn need for iteration or looping statements. Then two types of loops are there, while loop and for loop. We learned the syntax and various examples using while and for loop. After that, we learned break and continue statements in a loop. They are jump statements which is used to alter the normal flow of a loop. And then we discuss else in a loop which is executed when the condition becomes false. And after that, we learned nested loop, that is a loop inside a loop. We also discussed infinite loop which executes infinitely. So in order to stop that execution, remember to include a break statement inside the loop. Practice all these looping statements. Thank you.